Have you watched Adolescence yet?
No, I haven't. I probably won't. It's a film on Netflix, and most of my time right now is spent visiting the country. I don't need to watch a specific Netflix drama to understand what's going on.
First time in my life, I actually walk up to a girl and ask her out. And I did took all the guts in my life to ask her out. I was maybe 15, 16. And she replied, I don't know and I don't want to know. It killed me. It crushed my soul. That's why I still remember it so many years later. And I walked away destroyed. A girl rejected me. I didn't try to hurt her. Guys and girls, as we come of age, we all have these feelings, these emotions. We were mature enough to understand we wanted, needed relationships, whatever. We weren't going around hurting and killing each other. Yes, we could have disagreements. Yes, we could fight. Boys have these emotions they don't know how to handle. Girls have them too. They are more mature because they are ready. Unfortunately, many girls as well don't know how to talk to boys. It's normal. It is unlikely to devolve into a point where the boy takes a knife and stabs the girl. So, I'm a little surprised, at the same time not too surprised, to learn about this relatively new show on Netflix, Adolescence. I'm surprised a little bit that, to learn that it's the most watched show programming on Netflix. A little bit, because it's kind of a good show. It's very well made, and I'm impressed by that. And it seems to be communicating some kind of message.
It is prompting conversations about toxic masculinity, smartphone use, young men feeling that they're being ignored, the idea of misogyny being increased in school.
Which is what I want to get into. And ultimately, it's not bad. I'm just a little surprised that it's the most watched show. And the reason why I'm surprised is, is it that? No, and I think it's because, yeah, the show is good. But does that mean that every other thing on Netflix is not that good? I would lean toward yes. Or should I say, no, nothing else on Netflix is that good. I want to like Netflix. I really want to. And years ago, back when it had a Daredevil and all those Marvel shows, Netflix kind of went down the tubes after that. When Disney decided, wow, there's a great market in this streaming thing, and they took all their material back to their, and Disney is not doing so great because they are workers, as you don't want to know, and Netflix is not doing so great because they are woke. It's the wokeness that's killing everything. But we'll get into all that. That's something else. So I watched Adolescence.
Police! What are you looking for? You're making a big mistake. He's only a kid.
Dad, I haven't done anything.
And I think, that's the hallmark, actually, of good writing, of a great movie. This being a miniseries, it creates a debate. That's actually the best. It brings forward a discussion. It evokes, it emotes genuine feelings in people.
He's a good kid. Jamie, I want you to listen carefully.
That make people want to land on either side of it and express what their thoughts are. Let me take it back a little bit. Let me go to Avengers Civil War.
New York. Washington, D.C. Sokovia. Okay, that's enough.
between Iron Man and Captain America.
Captain, people are afraid.
That's why I'm here.
I liked many of the Marvel movies, not all of them. I liked many of the Marvel movies. I don't know why. For me, for me, Avengers, no, Captain America, Winter Soldier is absolutely the best of all the Marvel movies, period. Winter Soldier is the best. And even that, I had some concerns, but it was great. But that said, going back to Civil War, there was a debate between Captain America and Iron Man, or should I say Steve Rogers and Tony Stark.
We need to be put in check. Whatever form that takes, I'm game. I'm sorry, Tony.
If I see a situation pointed south, I can't ignore it. Sometimes I wish I could.
Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth.
I'm not a fan of Tony Stark. I've never liked him. I don't like Iron Man. I don't even know how he became the lead character in the whole series, in the whole franchise. I just don't understand. I don't like it. But for me, the kicker, Iron Man's debate, submitting your will, your capacity to make a choice to the government, to some external individual, instead of embracing your agency and taking responsibility for the choices that you make.
There's no decision-making process here. We need to be put in check. Whatever form that takes, I'm game.
It was a no-brainer for me.
Tony, if someone dies on your watch, you don't give up.
Who said we're giving up?
We are for not taking responsibility for our actions.
But you see, it emotes deep feelings in people, because frankly, it is actually in a genuine debate, in a genuine system, it is actually the difference between the two opposing sides of most governing structures of politics. Let me put it that way. Let's look across the West, generally speaking, because it's more defined apparently in the West. In the UK, in the US, in Canada, in Australia, the West, Caucasian countries, so to speak. Other countries are not so clearly defined, but in the West it seems to be. There are two sides. There are the sides who believe in government, and there are the sides who believe in individualism. And the guys who believe in individualism are more conservative, most Christians, a lot of Christians fall into that category. There are Christians who fall into the liberal side. There are. And it's not necessarily wrong. That's even a whole different debate. I should get into that. But that said, the two sides are government should take charge, or individuals should take charge, and government only comes in minimally to create perhaps an atmosphere or environment in which humans can function. That is the side I lean on, to be clear. I believe my life is my choice. My life is my responsibility. My choices for good or for bad, or should I say, my choices for better or for worse are up to me, and the consequences or benefits that come from it are up to me. That's accountability, and I believe every human being, especially men, should be able to take that position.
This document just shifts the blame.
Sorry, Steve, that is dangerously arrogant. This is the United Nations we're talking about. It's not the World Security Council. It's not SHIELD. It's not Hydra.
No, but it's run by people with agendas, and agendas change.
That's good. That's why I'm here. When I realized what my weapons were capable of in the wrong hands, I shut it down, stopped manufacturing.
Tony, You chose to do that. If we sign this, we surrender our right to choose.
Now, you should, as a man also, you should recognize that you have limitations. And where you have limitations, no problem. Work with others. And that's where socialism comes in. Because socialism is not necessarily the scourge of the earth. No, socialism is not necessarily evil. It becomes evil as you expand on it. I can give several illustrations of how this works. There's one that comes readily to mind, but I don't want to start with that. Let me start with this slightly more complex, not so clear one. The human body benefits from some microbes, from some diseases, some germs. Yeah. The human body benefits from some germs being in it because it allows the body to learn how to fight. So that when you are exposed to a lot of them, your body having learned, that's actually how vaccines are created. You know, your body has learned, your immune system has learned how to combat these diseases, and so it can combat them, and you stay healthy. But if you are never exposed to any disease, this is more complex naturally, then your body doesn't learn how to fight it. So when you are exposed to disease, it destroys you because your body doesn't know how to fight it. But if you are exposed to a little bit of it, it's good. So think of socialism in that sense. It's potentially dangerous, but in small bits, it's beneficial. However, when it gets overwhelming, when it gets a lot, it destroys. Now, let me get into the more precise illustration I would like to give. Every house, and it's not fair to use this specific illustration. It's not a bit not fair, but it's clear. Every house has a toilet. Toilets are beneficial, or should I say a bathroom. Bathrooms are beneficial. You go into the bathroom to shower, you go into the bathroom to do your business, number one or number two, you know. So because toilets are beneficial, does that mean that every room in the house should be a toilet? No. And so now let me bring it back full circle to the question about economic systems, governing systems, and socialism. Every system or every community, it is a fact, a tree does not make a forest. A community is made of multiple people, and every community must learn how to coexist. Must learn how to coexist in the sense that every person in that community must relate with every other person in that community, or at least others in that community. So from that perspective, social systems must be created. Roads built, police, fire, the fire department, if you want to call it that, fire brigade, like we say in Nigeria. Social systems that feed the community. However, they are beneficial, and that's why I said it wasn't fair to use toilets, because not necessarily that negative in that sense. But they are beneficial. They are called upon when they are needed, because if you leave it to the individual, he may be incapable of solving it on his own. However, that does not mean that the whole system must become socialized. That statement, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need. You cannot legislate it. You cannot force people to be selfless. You cannot. The only way that works is by the gun. And once you introduce the gun, once you introduce a weapon, once you introduce force, people begin to revolt against it. That's one way to look at socialism. Another way to look at it is, say, let me use this illustration because it seems apt. But let's say there are two guys who are great at long jump. I'm specifically using that. Both of them, when they leap, they fly right across the ford. And there are other guys who can't jump. Now, because you want to create a social system, you say everybody must be able to jump at the same rate. Okay. Fair. So now, what socialism creates, or should I say communism, I'm not sure at which point I'm not sure at which point they become different. They are different. Is you're trying to say everybody must get the same result. The only way everybody gets the same result is A, if you cut down the ability of those who are able to do it better, or B, if you give a cheating springboard to those who are not able to do it so well, so that they can keep up with those who can do it better. What socialism really creates, or more specifically communism, to be honest, I think, is that you cut down the ability. The only way the good jumpers and the weak jumpers are going to stay together is if you cut down the ability of those who can do it. Now, let's say we get to a point where we are running from some enemy and we get to a ford and we have to cross the ford. We don't have any other means except those guys who can jump. You now say because you want everybody to jump at the same rate, everybody should jump together, and nobody must be more than the other, forcing equality. Chances are that everybody is going to die, and some people will be happy with that. Remember the story of the two prostitutes who had babies, Solomon, when Solomon got his wisdom from God? Some people are fine with everybody be equal. Okay, my baby is dead, your baby needs to die too. You can do that, or you can allow the person who is better able to do it to do it. You see, look back on history. Look back on human evolution. Innovation was created by those who had the ability to innovate, and then they bring others along. Ford had access. He fought for it all the way to the Supreme Court and got access to the blueprints and the authority on producing the internal combustion engine. And then he made it open and available to the people. But imagine if he had been resisted because of his wealth, of his intellect, and then now like, no, you must not be smarter than this other person. Forcing people to be in the same class, forcing people to... No! You have to allow those who are able to do better if they want to do better. And you don't have to punish them for it. If you look, for example, at... what's this thing called? The tax system in many Western countries. I would argue Canada, Australia, probably the UK, to some degree the US, but maybe not as much. Where they use this tax bracket thing, where if you are making a little money, you get a little tax, and you're making big money, you get a higher tax. Don't get me wrong. Let me put it this way. I know you understand, but let's be clear so that nobody misquotes me. Say I'm making $100 a month. The system will probably tax me nothing. Say I'm making $1,000 a month. The system will probably tax me maybe 20%, 200. If I start making about $5,000 a month, the system starts taxing me, say, 30%. That's about 1.5, I think. Now I start making about $1 million a month. The system starts taxing me close to 50%. Why? It's an uneven balance, and the Bible warns against it. Why doesn't the system simply tax a flat rate if it must? Everybody on 20%, everybody on 30%. So if I'm making 100, a million, or 500,000, I just pay my 20 or 30%, and that's it. It's not even. So you are punishing the hard worker because he is working harder. And you know what it does? It kills innovation. People are now reluctant to put in their best because they know when they make more money, the system will just take it from them. So they sit back at home and get fat rather than put their capacity to use. That's the problem with socialism. So the idea behind submitting your will to some authority,
The Sokovia Accords.
outside of yourself,
It states that the Avengers shall no longer be a private organization. Instead, they'll operate under the supervision of a United Nations panel only when and if that panel deems it necessary.
even though, yes, you can be accountable to the authority, doesn't necessarily mean that they get to control and command and insist or decide on what are the things you are able to do.
And if we come to a decision you don't like?
Then you retire.
That's agency. It's not right. So I don't agree with Iron Man's position at all. And I love Captain America's position, which is that, listen, I have this ability.
The Avengers were formed to make the world a safer place. I feel we've done that.
There are people who need it, who need help, and I will help them. Now, if I am wrong, fine. You can arrest me. If I've done something wrong, you can prosecute me. I'll take responsibility for my actions. But I'm not going to wait for you to decide what is right and what is wrong for me.
What if this panel sends us somewhere we don't think we should go? What if there's somewhere we need to go and they don't let us? We may not be perfect, but the safest hands are still our own.
So those two sides, but it was a debate that, because of the political differences in people's thinking, it was a debate that, fostered, that lasted, that went someplace. So I get it. That's the Captain Man Iron Man thing. And that's the Captain America Iron Man thing. Now, in this movie, in this series, Adolescence, we have this young man.
What's going on? I'm going to start off with asking you.
Do you know a girl called Katie Leonard? Yeah? Describe each other as friends then.
Is she dead then?
Who apparently killed the woman.
Why would you ask her?
So do you think it would be okay if we speak about it?
So first things first, let me say the writing overall is excellent. The writing overall is excellent.
I haven't done anything. You're a good dad, a great dad.
He hasn't been found guilty, he's been accused.
My brother and I have debated this show, and we land on opposite sides in one regard. For me, watching the show, my thinking is, as much as it appears as though they are trying to blame the manosphere.
You're not getting it.
What am I not getting?
Dad, you're not reading what they're doing. It's a call to action by the manosphere. 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. You must trick them because you'll never get them in a normal way.
The internet, Andrew Tate, for how the boy turned out.
What have you done?
Or what the boy eventually did. I look at the whole story.
We've done nothing wrong, have we? Hey!
And I'm like, there really is nothing here. That is outside of how human beings behave.
Look at me now!
It's crazy what your brain tells you to do when you're a kid.
They just easy. The only thing out of the ordinary is that the boy killed the girl. And it's so out of place that me watching the story, I did not accept it. I did not accept that the boy killed the girl. It's because it's out of character. I didn't accept it until at the end it appears that's what the story was settling on. I didn't accept it. It doesn't make sense. And there are so many angles that are opened up to me from this. But let me try and address it as efficiently and effectively as I can. The first time I had a crush on a girl, I was 9 or 10 years old. The girl was in my class. She was bigger. We still talk today. So many years later. I had a crush. Beautiful. For her age. For her age, she was voluptuous. She was a woman. And I couldn't take my eyes off her. Now, I never said a word to her about it. I was in GS1. I think in the West it was probably year 7. I think. Yeah, I think. I was young. I was 19. I was like, I couldn't take my eyes off her. And as I grew up, I was a bit of a dork. I was a bit of a nerd. I didn't know how to talk to women. And I was embarrassed about it. And there was an incident in class about 3-4 years later. I was now in SS2, incidentally. SS2, that's the year before you finish secondary school, which will be probably year 11. And in the middle of the class, I was saying something. I had my back turned to the class. I was writing on the board, making a joke in my mom's language, and 2 girls in the class are from my mom's area, and they understood what I was saying, which was a joke, but one of them took it personal and thought maybe I was insulting her. So she walked up to the class, walked up to the front of the class, and gave me a knock on the head from behind. Of course, I'm stunned. So I turned around, and this girl, okay, we are growing up now. We are adults. We are kind of young adults now. I was maybe 15, 16 at the time. 15 probably, 14, 15. And this girl, shapely. Everybody in the whole class kind of knew that she had the biggest bum. And so she turned around and started rocking her bum and walking back to her seat. She's embarrassed me in the middle of the class. I don't even know if it was the embarrassment or just being annoyed at what she had just done. So I walked after her. She turned around to sit down, and I slapped her on the face. So she's about falling down, and some of her friends hold her up. And she comes back and tries to hit me. I block it. Now, even before I started training martial arts, I've always been a relatively good fighter. From watching movies, to be honest. So I was going to deck her. I was. And then some girl held my hand and stopped me. Like, hey, that's a girl. Well, okay, true, that's a girl. The girl didn't stop though. She just grabbed me by the shirt and gave me a headbutt in the face. And of course, I was immediately covered by boys and girls, and everybody said, "Oh, the girl beat you. The girl beat you." What you recognize is the kind of thing that's happened in this show, where the black girl decked this guy. The guy falls to the ground, and they laugh at him. Like, a girl just beat you.
Banged by a girl, you sausage.
So, it's normal. Now, from that point on, everybody in the class was like, heck no, man, no girl is going to do this to me. So as soon as a girl acts up and says something funny, the girl gets slapped. And there was an incident shortly after, not more than a month, maybe a couple of weeks, perhaps at most, where one of the girls got, really in the face of one of the guys, and the guy, and I think that they look alike. I think they may even have been in a relationship or trying to be in a relationship. And the girl was trying to get physical with the guy, and the guy slapped her. There were welts on her face. Not just slapped her, I mean like he beat her. Yeah, adolescents do that. But it's out of character because we already know we are stronger than girls. Then nobody needs to debate that. He is not going to kill her. So that's the first thing that is out of character in that story. Yes, guys and girls can get into scuffles. And, okay, about a year after this incident I just described, first time in my life, I actually walked up to a girl and asked her out. Spoke with her, told her that I like you, you're pretty, and I did like her. Took all the guts in my life to ask her out. I was maybe 15, 16. And she said she would think about it. I walked away and I couldn't talk to her and I couldn't even breathe for a week. Then I saw her in a class by herself studying, and I walked up to her, girl, hey, how about the talk we had a week ago, She said, what am I talking about? And then I asked her, and she replied, I don't know and I don't want to know. It killed me. It crushed my soul. That's why I still remember it so many years later. And I walked away destroyed. A girl rejected me. I didn't try to hurt her. And you see, guys and girls, as we come of age, we all have these feelings, these emotions. Now, in this my same class, there were guys and girls who were sleeping with each other. My point being, we were mature enough to understand we wanted, needed relationships, whatever. We weren't going around hurting and killing each other. Yes, we could have disagreements. Yes, we could fight. There was a girl that a few years after that, 1 or 2 years after that, I liked her too. And I tried to talk to her, but she was kind of rude. I was a little more mature and I just walked away. And then some guys came to me and were like, this girl is too proud. She's like that. So I arranged for some guys to insult her. And that started another fight between me and some guys, not me and the girl. And I arranged for some guys to insult her. I came in one day and they said they had done it. I was like, I paid for this thing. Why wasn't I there? Why did you do it when I wasn't there? So it started another argument, and then myself and those boys fought. My dad almost killed me. What am I trying to say? So the story is real in the sense that people get into adolescents, teenagers, between the age of 12, 13, for boys maybe 13, and 19, 18. By 20, the guy is getting mature. Boys have these emotions they don't know how to handle. Girls have them too. They are more mature because they are ready. They are ready for babies. And we don't know how to handle it. Unfortunately, many girls as well don't know how to talk to boys. So the fact that the girl and the guy had that back and forth is normal. It is unlikely to devolve into a point where the boy takes a knife and stabs the girl. And then to now try to blame a normal behavior in boys and girls, particularly in boys, on toxic masculinity.
Banged by a girl, you saucy.
On the internet.
You're not getting it.
What am I not getting?
On the manosphere.
It's a call to action by the manosphere. 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men.
It doesn't gel.
You must trick them because you'll never get them in a normal way.
The stories I'm telling you are from 30 years ago, before the internet was a thing. And we all had these same feelings and emotions, even all the way back then.
We've done nothing wrong, have we?
So why are you trying to blame it on what is normal?
Hey!
Or should I say rather, why are you trying to blame it on Andrew Tate? I have a video where I talked about liking Andrew Tate. I think I'll post it here. I'll link it there. I kind of like Andrew Tate because he's talking about factual issues. He's talking about men being able to... Now, the parts where he has abused potentially, or, you know, exploited to some degree. Listen, he had a business. I don't know or think that anybody was forced to join him in the business. He took a position and these ladies made themselves available. That's the way I see it. Between him and them, it's between him and them. Was it right? No, it's wrong. Is it a crime? No, unless he physically or sexually assaulted any one of them. So from a legal standpoint, no, it's not wrong. From a Christian standpoint, no, it's not right. So, what did Andrew Tate do to anybody? At a time when the world was pushing this toxic masculinity narrative, where men were now becoming afraid to speak up and be men, where marriages were breaking up and women were ending up as single parents, and we've seen the results. Collapsing society. The man spoke up, and I appreciate him for that. Now, him going into Islam, I've spoken about that as well. The same video, and I think that was just a mistake because he didn't understand the difference between Christianity and Islam. Now, the point being that he needs to know what he's really talking about. You know, a powerful man, as you recognize your strength, the point of power is that you can control it. It's not that you just wield it willy-nilly. So him saying things like Andrew Tate, that is saying things like, you know, the point of a God is to be feared. Yes, God is feared, but at the same time, he cannot access the real you if he has to bully you to do what is right. What he does is he gives you the chance to make your own choices. He tells you what the benefits and consequences are. That's up to you, but you make your choices, and that's the kind of God that our Father in heaven is. So that's where I think he's making a mistake. So he's embracing the Muslim ethos because, you know, Islam can be very aggressive. If you abuse Islam, Islam makes you pay. And if you abuse our God, like we abused Jesus, and if anything, he gave us more grace. Now, there are still going to be consequences, don't get me wrong. For those of us who refuse to accept him, heaven, hell, they are still going to happen. It's your choice, but you are free to make that choice. Islam tries to bully and force you to do it, and which shows kind of where Andrew Tate's mind is. Islam and Christianity have a lot in common because obviously a lot of Islam was borrowed from Christianity, but then that grace is not there, which is in Christ. So that's where I think that's where I differ from Andrew Tate. But I still like him as a man, as an individual. I have reservations for some of his choices, a lot of his choices, but I still like him as an individual. I hope his case goes away. I hope he wins. I hope he didn't do anything evil to those ladies. If he did, he should go to prison, obviously. That's that. So back to this Adolescence of a show. The only thing that was wrong is that he killed the girl. The boy killed the girl, which was so out of character that I was like, there just has to be something else that would have pushed him that far that he would kill the girl. Now, that's it. Now let us point at what the real problem is, which I think the show didn't really address, kind of brushes through it. The murder happened at 9:30 p.m. 9:30 at night. Now in the UK, during summer, at 9 o'clock, it may not even be dark yet. And during winter, at 4 p.m., it's black. I've been there one time during summer. So it was daylight almost until about 8 or beyond. But whatever it looks like outside, what are children doing outside the house at 9:30? You see, the show doesn't address that at all. It treats it as normal. And that's the real problem. You see, the West particularly, the West generally speaking, England particularly, or should I say the UK, has created a society, a culture where being unaccountable and irresponsible at that age, unaccountable to your elders, to your parents, and irresponsible at that age was acceptable. That's what was wrong. All these children were out. The girl was out, walking about by... Hey, Kalamash, Jesus help me. My wife does a job where she gets home at about midnight. And I tell her, baby, I don't like this. It's not safe. I know overall the area where we live is safe. There are no incidents, there are no accidents, there isn't much crime to speak of. And I was like, Yoruba will say, Ojo gbogbo ni tole, Ojo kan ni to nkan. I'm a guy. I can do it. I'll do it if I have to. For my home, for my family, for my marriage, for my children. You are a woman. I'd rather you were safe. I don't want you to be out and about at that time. That's a grown woman. How much more children? Have you been out in Lekki? It actually literally happened to a friend of mine who is a martial artist, a black belt like myself. I shouldn't have dropped that. Years ago, plenty younger, 15, 20 years ago, he was caught up in Lekki out there. He lost his laptop in the process. He fought those guys off and escaped because he's a martial artist. But if he wasn't a martial artist, what would have happened to him? He could have died. He could have been badly hurt. That's in Lagos. Like, I don't encourage people. Like, when it's dark, go home. Before dark, go home. Get home. Even as a man, I wrap up whatever I'm doing and I'm home. Unless I'm working until that time, what am I doing out? Unless, okay, I go to watch a movie and I come back home. Well, what are kids doing on the streets at 8:30, 9:30 in the night? Be home by 5. Do your homework. Do your chores. And if you have to go out, I take you out myself until I've taught you to defend yourself. I don't care how safe society is. It's not normal. Whatever somebody wants to do during the day, do it. Whatever someone wants to do during the day, because the night is coming when no man walketh. So you created that environment. That's number one. I don't even know if there's a number 2. That's the issue. And then the second thing now, the story also tries to blame the father. And I'll expand on that a bit. Because the father had a temper. Hey! Here's a fact. Children, it's difficult that children can adopt, or should I say can inherit a parent's psychological traits. It's unlikely, but you can learn it. I do know of a woman who was always angry all the time, and she would lash out and say mean things. And when I had the chance to talk to this woman, I was like, why do you think this is okay? Where did you learn it from? And it was years actually later on that she just off the cuff one day mentioned that, well, that's how my whole family is. We all got it from our dad. I didn't know, but I could see that the attitude was there. I was like, okay, so you learned, when her dad is angry, when her dad was angry in his past, her dad would just lash out and say whatever. It didn't hurt them, didn't beat them, but he would say mean things. And apparently all the children became like that. Yes, you learn that by discipleship. And you think it's okay. And this woman gradually began to learn by being exposed to other people that there are better ways to handle anger than to lash out and hurt people with the things we say. I don't think I've seen her be angry and say mean things again since that time. Now, we watch this miniseries and we see this man become violently angry to the point that he kind of attacks these boys. Again, if I see someone vandalizing my car, age immaterial, I will be very angry too. So you're trying to suggest that there's something wrong with being angry at that. It's not. Now, the man now talks about his own father having that problem, but beating him, and I didn't even want to beat his kid. Understood. Although, we should get into that as well. Now, what you are trying to suggest is that the father, inherited it from his own father, and now the son inherited anger from his own dad.
Look at me now!
That's unfair. You can learn to control your anger. Number one. Number two, again, there is nothing that happened in the whole story that is out of character for adolescence, other than he killed the girl. His entire reaction is normal. The girl treated him funny. He treated the girl funny back. Very normal. The girl pushed him away physically. Unlikely, but possible. Then you now return and stab her to death like you stabbed her 1,000,000 times. Okay, it doesn't make sense. That's out of character. And you're trying to suggest that he got it from his dad. It's unfair. So you're trying to treat masculinity as toxic. It is normal for a man to be angry at everything that father was angry about. It's normal. There's nothing strange about it. Also attempted to say that, hey, we raised 2 kids. There's an older girl who didn't get affected by the internet the way the boy ended up being affected. They're trying to suggest that ladies are less influenced by society than men are. Again, unfair. So you're attacking masculinity again. Again, that may not have been the intention of the writer, because the writing overall was excellent. But subconsciously, it comes out. Subconsciously, because that's the environment that they have created in the UK. That said, now, let me finish this by saying, let me just throw these verses out there. Foolishness resides in the heart of a child. The rod of correction will drive it far from him. The rod of correction is a cane, something with which you beat the child. Train up a child in the way he should go. When he is old, he will not depart from it. So, if you beat him, you shall not die. Thou shalt beat him and save his soul from hell. I know a lot of people think beating children is wrong. That is exactly contrary and opposite to what the Bible says. The Bible says beating is a key part of training the child. So, if a child is in a bad way and the child needs beating, beat the child. Now, don't beat in anger and potentially hurt and destroy the child. Beat with purpose and teach and make it clear that make it clear to the child what the child has done wrong, so that child can learn and correct himself. If you're angry, don't touch the child. But when you know you have a clear mind, decide the outcome you want, bring the child in, punish and or beat when you need to. That's the right way to do it. Follow the way the Bible said. Okay, so can't think of anything else right now. If I think of it, I'll either make another follow-up video or put it in the comment section or something. Leave a question, click on like, click on subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.